Alright, we got day 3 of March Madness explained. I missed some of the games, so I thought this was a cool little video we could see, recap it or something.
March Madness is the greatest sporting event of the year. Actually, my bad, MDK Supreme.
It's by Hardwood, by the way.
One. In my opinion, it's the greatest sporting event of the year. So today in this video, we're going to recap all 8 games from the 3rd day of the tournament and day 1 of the round of 32. Game 1 took place between 7 seed Dayton and 2 seed Arizona. The Flyers got down big early in this one, 40-23 with 2:44 to go, but would go on a 10-0 run to finish the half down 7. And in the second half, Dayton would get it as close as 4 numerous times, but would go without a field goal from the 10-minute mark to the 6:37 mark in the second half. Arizona wins this one 78-68. Arizona's defense was just too much for Dayton in this game, as they shot 40% from the field and 29% from 3, which just isn't going to cut it from a team that is 24th in the nation in offense and 4th in the nation in
Arizona gonna choke. Oh shit, sooner or later.
3-point percentage. Future first round NBA draft pick Deron Holmes did all he can to keep his Flyers in this one, finishing with 23-11, but Dayton just had 2 points off the bench. I'm getting more and more intrigued by this Arizona team. According to KenPom, they're ranked 9th in offense and defensive efficiency in the nation. They'll be matching up with the winner of Baylor Clemson today for a shot at the Elite 8, but the Final Four is what's really on the Wildcats' mind. They haven't made one since 2001 with Gilbert Arenas and Richard Jefferson. This video is brought to you by StatHead. StatHead is your
Got to skip the ads.
almost immediately. It took place between 4 seed Kansas and 5 seed Gonzaga, 2 teams that are considered to.
I knew Kansas was gonna choke. They got beat by like 20.
Be having down years compared to recent success. The first half of this matchup was super competitive, with the Jayhawks having a 1-point lead at halftime, but then Gonzaga goes on a 15-0 run to begin the second half, and from there it was pretty much a blowout. Gonzaga would win 89-68. The Jayhawks just looked tired and completely beat down in that second half, and that's due to a lot of things. For one, Hunter Dickinson is beat up, still playing. They're missing arguably their best player, if not their second best player, in Kevin McCullough Jr., who was shut down with a knee injury. And then that Samford game took a lot out of them 2 nights ago. And let's be honest, there's a chance they just aren't even in this game if we don't get the worst foul call of all time. Bottom line is, Kansas had 0 depth, and it caught up to them in the second half. Gonzaga, on the other hand, shot 60% from the field. 5th-year senior Anton Watson led the way with 21 points. And yes, this is the same Watson that was a very important role player on those Jalen Suggs and Chet Holmgren teams. Wyoming transfer and leading scorer Graham Ike finished with 15, and Nolan Hickman had 17. But the biggest story here is that Mark Few, Gonzaga's coach, has now made a Sweet 16 in 9 straight years. I feel pretty foolish buying into the McNeese State hype, upsetting them in the first round. I know Gonzaga has had a down year in comparison, but you just cannot bet against Mark Few coach teams, at least early on in the tournament. Gonzaga now awaits the winner of Purdue and Utah State, which are playing later today. Game 3, number 1 seed North Carolina versus 9 seed Michigan State. I was nervous for the Tar Heels early in this one. They got down big to start, which you never want to do against Tom Izzo in the NCAA tournament. But after that 26-14 deficit, UNC would go on a 20-1 run and take the lead, heading into the half up 9. Sparty kept it close until about the 10-minute mark, when UNC turned it on and would end up winning 85-69 in this one. I know Michigan State is a 9 seed. I know they are not having the type of year they usually have, but as a 10 seed last year, they upset Marquette in the round of 32. And anytime you have senior guard play led by a Tom Izzo team, I don't care if you're a 1 seed, you have to feel good about beating them and advancing. Tyson Walker did all he could in this one, scoring 24 points on 9 of 16 from the field. And on the UNC side, RJ Davis led the way with 20. Armando Bacot had 18, and Harrison Ingram finished with 17. UNC awaits the winner of Alabama Grand Canyon today. A. And if both Arizona and UNC can make it to the Elite Eight, they would face each other in a revenge game. If you don't know, back in 2022 when UNC made the title game as an 8 seed, RJ Davis, Armando Bacot, and Caleb Love were all huge parts of that team. All three of them returned for 2023, and they started out the #1 seed in the preseason, but they wouldn't make the tournament. Caleb Love then got out of Chapel Hill and transferred to Arizona, and the rumors are there's bad blood between RJ Davis and Caleb Love. I have no idea if that's true or not. However, it could be a really cool storyline for an Elite Eight matchup. Game number 4, #2 seed Iowa State versus 7 seed Washington State. The Cyclones do not have the best offense, but they have the nation's second best defense according to KenPom. And early on, it looked like their offense may be leading them to an early exit. It took them a whole 5 minutes to score their first point, and they didn't reach 10 until the 7-minute mark in the first half. However, their defense kept them in it. They would bounce back and tie it at half, 27-27. And in the second half, their offense would step up a bit, and their defense would continue to clamp Washington State, finishing the game 67-56 and sending the Cyclones to the Sweet 16 for the 7th time in school history. Iowa State has never, in fact, made a Final Four, unless you include 1944 when there were just 8 teams in the tournament. So if ISU wants to make their first legitimate Final Four appearance in school history, they have a lot of work cut out for them. Matter of fact, Ken Pomeroy put out this brilliant tweet I have to share with you.
This isn't a story about basketball.
Iowa State never made it?
This is a story about money.
Iowa State was unranked in the preseason top 25. No team that has been that and has finished as a top 2 seed in the tournament has ever made a Final Four. If they're able to do so, they won't just be making school history, but tournament history. Head coach TJ Otzelberger deserves a ton of credit. He inherited a 2-22 team in 2021 that went winless in the Big 12, turned it around to a Sweet 16 appearance that next season in 2022, made the tournament in 2023, and here we are in 2024. Being a 2nd seed, making the Sweet 16. Game 5 was one of the best games.
Whoever that guy was, he did some work.
On this slate, 11 seed NC State versus 14 seed Oakland. A bid stealer who won 5 games.
We seen this game. Oh, yeah.
Both teams struggled from the field shooting, but Tennessee seemed to be in complete control of this game up until the final minutes. Max Abmas would cut the lead to 1 with 30 seconds left, and then Jonas Aidoo would make both free throws, extending it back to 3, before Max Abmas missed a potentially game-tying 3 with 13. One of the day, and in my opinion, the best game on this slate. Yes, even better than NC State and Oakland. #3 Creighton versus #11 Oregon. Oregon has a very similar story to NC State. They forced themselves into March Madness by winning the Pac-12 tourney, and Folly Dante and Jermaine Couisnard have been sensational during this run, and they were again in this game. Dante finished with 28 and 20. Couisnard had 32 and 8, and this game was back and forth the entire game. It was 36-34 at half, obviously tied at the end of regulation. The Ducks led 62-58 with the ball with 34 seconds left when Couisnard missed a jumper and Baylor Shireman would make 2 free throws. Dante would miss the front end of a 1-and-1, and Baylor Shireman would make a jumper, tying the game and sending it into overtime. In the first overtime, Jermaine Couisnard would hit an incredible 3 with 18 seconds left, tying the game, before Trey Alexander missed a jumper as time expired. But the second overtime was all Creighton, outscoring Oregon 15-2. You could tell Oregon had just completely lost all of their legs. Couisnard was exhausted. Dante was exhausted. Senior guard Stephen Ashworth came up huge for Creighton with 21 points. This felt like a game to me that Oregon gave away at the end of regulation, being up 4 with ball with 30 seconds left. You should almost never lose. But props to Creighton. This is their 3rd time in 4 years making the Sweet 16. They made their first ever Elite 8 last year. We'll see if they can make their first ever Final Four this year. That concludes our Day 3 recap. If you enjoyed this video, I'm recording this.
I'm not gonna lie, it's been some strange games this year, but it's been some good games. So I'm liking the tournament this year, and Shit, Tennessee still there, so we still rolling. But like and subscribe. See y'all on the next one.